We'll just try to develop some motivation in today's session, and we'll try to present the features of Python so that we are motivated to learn this programming language in the future. So friends, let us begin. So Python was designed to be nearest to the semantics of human language. As we will see, when you learn Python, you understand that it is very near to human language, the way humans communicate. And of course, it combines the power of traditional languages with scripting language. So we need to have some background on what is meant by a traditional language like C language or a scripting language like Perl or JavaScript to understand these statements. Anyway, if you don't understand this right now, doesn't matter. The third point is the very interesting and motivating point for us. IEEE might be familiar with this organization, IEEE. So it has ranked Python at number 1 among all the top programming languages in the world. In the year 2019, Python was ranked at number 1, as we'll see in the next slide. So why it was ranked at number 1? We'll see in this webinar. There are many reasons why it was ranked at number 1. Then you can see other programming languages like Java is there, C, C++, R. R is basically used for machine learning applications. Then JavaScript is used for web development applications. And then you have C#, MATLAB, Swift, and Go. And this is the link that I have given at the bottom. You can go to this link and find out that this chart is there. And Python is at the top. And these are the uses for which these programming languages can be used. And this symbol denotes web development, and this small symbol denotes mobile application development. Then we have desktop application development. Then we have embedded system development. So you can see that Python can be used for almost all types of applications. There are 4 types of applications here. And I'm happy to say that Python can also be used for mobile application development as well. So recently, libraries have been added to Python, which enable it to be used for mobile application development as well. And the score that Python scores is 100 out of 100. So this is a big motivation to learn Python. So Python is the programming language of the present as well as the future. As we will see during the webinar, what are the different applications for which Python can be used. So there was a survey conducted by the organization called Stack Overflow. Now, computer science developers, so especially hardcore developers, we go to Stack Overflow and we refer. It is like an online encyclopedia of programming. For those who are from the programming background, they will know what is Stack Overflow. So Stack Overflow organization conducts this survey every year. So this survey was conducted in 2020 as well. As you can see in the source at the bottom, you can just Google this Stack Overflow survey 2020 and you will get all the results of the survey. And these people asked developers who were surveyed, what is your most desired programming language, which you are not using now, but which you want to learn in the future. So you can see that at the top, Python was there. People really wanted to learn Python. So those who are already using Python, that also Python is number 1. And those who want to learn Python, that also Python is at number 1. You can Google this survey. So friends, I think this is enough of a motivation to learn this new programming language. If anyone is planning to develop a career in the software development industry, Python is the way to go right now. Whether you want to get into web application development, whether you want to get into mobile application development, or of course, data science, artificial intelligence, machine learning, as we will see later in the seminar, all these things are currently based on the Python programming language. So then we have the state of the art right now, which developers are using which ecosystem. So again, I have taken this from the Stack Overflow survey of 2020. So these are the latest results. These are the latest findings, and this is the state of the art. What is the current environment in the development world? So friends, you can see that all these technologies are interrelated. For example, if you see this this set of nodes, interconnected nodes, you will see that all these are Microsoft technologies, .NET, .NET, .NET. Okay. Similarly, you can see that at this point, you see Python. So Python is related to Django, Flask, Pandas, TensorFlow. Django and Flask are used for web development applications. Pandas and TensorFlow, if you're not familiar, they are used for machine learning applications. Keras is used for deep learning, so on and so forth. So this is the Python environment. Okay. So this is how developers work. So moving forward, and these are the job roles and what are the salaries that they command. And on the x-axis, we have the number of years of experience. So it was found that a data scientist who is having very less experience, you can see here, less than 8 years of experience, or even a fresher, was able to command a salary, median salary of around $50,000. So that's a lot, isn't it? And then there are various other job roles. You have front-end developer, back-end developer, full-stack developer. As we will see in the later in the seminar, all these terms, what do they mean? Then they have data scientist, data engineer, and all these roles are based on Python, as I will show you later in the different levels of the job roles. So then we have educator, like people who teach different languages and so on and so forth. All these roles can be based on Python. That's what I wanted to show using this. So these are only the job titles. They are not based on any particular platform. But you can analyze that the business analyst here, for example, and embedded devices developer, this can be in Python or C language or Java, as we have seen in the first slide. So for all these roles, Python is applicable. That is what I want to say. So moving forward, what are the types of roles that are there for Python programmers? So Python programmers can be web development engineers using the Django framework. They can use Selenium for web testing, and they can develop games using Pygame, and they can, of course, so this is the major application of the Python programming language: artificial intelligence and data science and big data analytics, and of course, smart devices using IoT. All these things require the Python programming language as the basic core. So this is the motivation, friends, to learn the Python programming language. It is used in so many roles and under so many conditions and in so many different environments that I can say that in today's world, if you want to come into the IT industry, in the software development industry, no matter which platform you choose, whether you choose artificial intelligence or data science or smart devices, IoT, or whatever you want to choose, doesn't matter. Everything can be based on Python, and mostly everything is based on Python only. It's not like traditional languages like Java, which can be used only for a particular set of applications and not for others. Python is like, it has become the language of choice across all kinds of platforms. For this reason, we need to have a basic understanding of the Python programming language. Once you have basic understanding of the core Python programming language, then you can diversify into any particular platform that you want. So we understand that a programming language has a core part, and that core part, once you understand and you become familiar and master that core part, then you can diversify into any other platform that you are interested in. So these are the different job profiles that I discussed earlier that I wanted to show you. At the entry level, you can work as software engineer trainee if you learn Python, or as a business analyst, or as a full stack web developer, or as a data analyst. So let us give a few moments to understand each of these roles. So you understand a software engineer trainee. So at the entry level, you will be given entry level tasks to perform. You will be given a small problem to be solved as a team member, and you have to do that. And business analyst leads to data analyst and data scientist roles, as you can see here. So business analyst analyzes the existing business and tries to come up with different strategies to improve the business. So for that, we require a good knowledge about business analytics. Then we have something called full stack web developer. So this is a very interesting field. So nowadays, the orientation is towards full stack web developer. And you might see that I have put this job description at the entry level. So let us understand what is meant by full stack web developer. So in web development, when we say a web application, the web application consists of the front end part and the back end part and the database part. So you can say this is a three-tier architecture. So normally what happened, friends, in the earlier days, the front end part was handled by HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. For that, a different set of software engineers were employed. Then there was the backend part at which server-side programming was done. And this was done in programming languages like scripting languages like PHP or Perl, whatever. And then we had the database part. The database part was handled by the database administrator, database designers, and to interact with the database, we used SQL, structured query language. So now in the recent years, there is a big trend towards integrating all these three tiers. Integrating means developing all these three tiers using a single programming language. So there is one school of thought which uses JavaScript as a full stack web application development. And then there is another school of thought which uses Python as a full stack web development framework. So you can develop the client side software in Python, server side software in Python, and you can interact with the database using Python. So at the entry level, you can even work as a full stack web developer. And the trend is, as you gain experience, as you go to the senior level and the top management, then you have to diversify into different sub roles like client side and server side. So at the entry level, nowadays industry expects you to have a good knowledge about the complete development stack. And of course, then we have the data analyst. So as you grow, then you become from software engineer trainee into a software engineer, and you might even become a team lead. And then we have data scientist and machine learning engineer. So these people work with data and they try to come up with different patterns in data so that it helps in the decision making process for the organization. And then at the top management, you either become a project manager, you manage the project, or you become a project leader, or you become a software architect in the technical side where you design the complete workflow of the system. So friends, these are the different job profiles, and these are not restricted to only Python, can be across any other platform also. But since Python is the number one programming languages nowadays, so these are all applicable to Python, and especially the data analyst part, business analyst, machine learning engineer, and data scientist, and all. These are especially based on Python. Python occupies big space in this ecosystem of data science and artificial intelligence. So let us proceed. So these are the job roles, and I have put on a few statements regarding what each job role entails, what are the requirements of each job role. So for the software developer, you need to have a good knowledge about RESTful APIs so that you handle the interaction between the client side and the server side. And then we have the Python web developer. As I said, as I just explained you the full stack web development. So this can be done at the client side as well as the server side. And you need to have a good understanding about Tkinter for GUI-based web applications. Then there is data analyst who needs to be well versed with mathematics and statistics. And we need to learn all these libraries like NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib, C1, which is based on Matplotlib. to present the data, to analyze the data, as well as to present the data, which is called data visualization, so that we can derive insights from the knowledge that is gained. So this is the job of data analyst. So continuing from this, we have similarly data scientist, who is a level above the data analyst. So data scientist actually takes out the insights from what the data analyst has prepared. Data analyst presents the data in an understandable form, and data scientist uses different algorithms like regression and multipliers and all to derive insights from that data. And a sub role of a data scientist is machine learning engineer. So machine learning engineer should be well versed with different machine learning algorithms like gradient descent and even deep learning and neural networks and all. So this is another subfield of artificial intelligence. So friends, these are the job roles of Python. Okay, so now let us try to ask ourselves, when do we learn? What is the frequency at which we learn new technologies? So it seems, again, I go back to my Stack Overflow survey. The developers, they responded that they learn a new technology every few months. Almost 35% of the responded that they learn a new technology every few months. And 38% almost responded that they learn a new technology, whether it is a new programming language or a new platform or anything else. It can be anything, new operating system, whatever. They learn a new technology once a year. And 25% responded that they learn it once every few years. And 2.1 responded that they learn once a decade. So now we have to question ourselves whether you are an experienced programmer or whether you are a fresher. What is the frequency at which we need to learn new technology? So this is directed towards those who are having experience in their field. So in this webinar, we might be having many of the participants who might be having experience, who might be experienced for a few years or even decades. So we have to ask ourselves. So I have been in the field, IT field, for 2 decades myself, right? So for how many years? In how many years do I learn a new technology? So friends, if you want to survive in this field, it is very clear. It is very rule of the thumb is you have to keep running to stay where you are in the IT industry. If you stay static, that means somebody else will overtake you, right? So it's not like I have reached a level and I can maintain the level. It's not possible. Almost every day, every few months, new technologies are coming into the market. Even in Python, it's not that we have learned a language. In Python also, every few months, a new library comes. So people have to be well versed with the latest developments in their fields. So earlier there was TensorFlow, for example, in machine learning and deep learning, there was TensorFlow. Then Keras came and made things much more easier. So in this way, things are constantly evolving. So you can't say that I have learned TensorFlow and I am the master of the machine learning field. No. So every day you have to keep abreast of the latest developments in the field. So friends, so at least we have to make an effort that once a year we update ourselves. Since you can see that majority of the respondents have responded that they learn a new technology once a year or every few months. It's better if you can do it for 6 months, every 6 months. Not possible. You at least have to learn a new technology once a year. So Python can be that technology. That is what my motivation is. You have to learn a new technology, and right now in the field of IT industry, Python is the language of choice. Python is the platform, the new technology that you really have to be well versed with. You have to learn that. So now, since we have developed so much of motivation and background of the current state of the art and what can we expect from the industry, now let us actually go into a small background about the Python programming language. So a brief history of Python to begin with, before we actually go to the seeing the features of Python. It was developed by a person called Guido van Rossum in the late 80s and early 90s at this place in Netherlands, National Research Institute for Mathematics and Computer Science. And the syntax of Python is derived from many programming languages like C, C++, Ergol, Smalltalk, and the Unix shell programming language. And version 1 was released in 91, 2 was released in 2000. So the version 2 which was released in 2000, even now there are many programmers who use version 2.7 that was released in 2000. Anyway, that is also supported until now. But the version that which is used right now across the industry, 90% of the industry is 3.0, which was released in 2008. And 3.8 is the version which is currently being used, and 3.9 beta version is also there in the market. So this is a brief history of Python programming language. You can see it is a very young programming language. It was released commercially in 1991. Okay. So these are some features of Python programming language. It is a very simple language, easy to learn, and it is a beginner's language. Let me tell you that there is a big debate, friends, nowadays. Many of you might be engineers. I suppose 90% of the participants in today's webinar might come from an engineering background, irrespective of the branch. You might be a civil engineer, mechanical, or CSE or IT. So I can say confidently that many of you, almost 100% of you might have learned the C language as part of your curriculum, isn't it? So whatever the pros and cons of the C programming language, we are not here to discuss about that. But we can say that even I have taught C programming language in various platforms. Okay, and I have been teaching C programming language for 2 decades until now. We can say that beginners find it a little bit difficult to learn the C programming language. And don't take any offense. I'm not here to. I'm a big fan of C language as well. Okay, but once you learn Python, we can appreciate that Python is really a beginner's language. It should really be the first language of any engineer. So there is a big debate going on in India right now whether C language should be replaced as part of the first year curriculum, first semester curriculum for engineering studies, and replaced with Python. And for your information, many private universities, I can name a few, I don't want to name them, have actually replaced the C language which was there in the first year with Python. And that testifies to its ability to be a beginner's language. And it is easy to learn, and it is portable, it can be executed across various platforms. You can develop it on Linux, you can execute it on Windows or vice versa. And it is open source. Nobody owns Python. You need not pay anyone to use Python. It is really open source. There is a database interface which is provided in Python, and it is dynamically typed. In today's session, we are going to see what is meant by dynamically typed. It supports quick programming. That means graphical user interface. You can using tkinter, as I said earlier. This platform independent, easy to maintain. It is a scripting language as well as a programming language. There are extensive libraries. As I said earlier, the various functionalities are provided in the form of modules and packages in Python, which are presented as libraries, and that gives the power to Python. And it is scalable. It can support increasing number of users, increasing number of processes, and it is extensible. If you want, you can even develop your own module and submit it to the Python Software Foundation. If they find it worthwhile, they will integrate it into the language. So it is extensible and it is open source. So these are some features of the Python programming language.